Hi, it's Rich Tehrani with the TMC Newsroom, and I'm here with Scott Sumner, who is the VP of Marketing of Accedian Networks. Scott, how are you?
Great. How's it going, Rich?
Things are fantastic. So tell me a little bit about your company, please.
Yeah, Accedian Networks is really focused on packet performance assurance, solutions that allow service providers to deploy premium Ethernet services, ultra-high performance services over their existing networks. And it's really focused on technology that adapts the edge, demarcation units that have a lot of networking intelligence in them, service creation capabilities for carrier Ethernet, as well as the ability to monitor service level agreements 24/7 and prove to their customers that they're getting what they're paying for.
Fantastic. So the managed services and hosted market seems to be doing quite well. I'm curious, how does that affect your company?
It's actually a very big trend right now, right? With a little bit of economic difficulty. A lot of providers are finding that if they can get hosted and managed services out to their customers, it can increase loyalty quite a bit. So reducing customer churn is sort of like a triple play, but the amount of services you can deploy would be much greater in number, right? So you could have things like remote storage, video conferencing, stateful firewalls, managed routers. The list goes on and on. But to do that, a lot of companies are concerned about the quality of the Ethernet connectivity of their IP VPNs, being capable of handling these real-time services.
Sure.
Yeah, and so the question they have is, how much can we rely on Ethernet services today? And service providers are finding they really have to prove to their customers that they have the performance, the quality of service at the right price to deliver this access line. And once the customer is confident that the access line is delivering performance, has reliability, jitter, and latency performance, then they can bring in all those hosted and managed services on their portfolio and upsell them to a much higher revenue than they normally do just on Ethernet alone.
Sounds like a big opportunity.
It's a big opportunity because it's not just the big guys like Verizon who can get into it. Almost every competitive carrier, small ISPs, service providers, cable MSOs can easily adapt their network one customer site at a time, cost effectively, and offer these premium SLA grade services. And the real drivers of these services, there was an Atlantic ACM survey that came out in December, and they surveyed all the drivers of what would make you want to buy a service, an Ethernet service, and performance and quality of service and price were the first three on the list. And the 10th component, it was always last for the last 14 years in a row, has been the actual provider itself. So the brand name, the reputation of the provider is far less important than how much performance you're actually delivering, and you can prove to your customer you're giving.
So it's truly a commoditized service right now at this point.
It's commoditized in the best effort sense, right? If you're getting a best effort Ethernet line, you're competing only on price. So, but if you look at pricing of gig lines, it's dropped in half over the past 3 years. So if you want to really get some revenue opportunities and differentiate yourself, you have to really provide a higher quality service that's really managed, assured, and monitored all the time.
So what are you seeing the economy doing to companies in our industry right now?
It's been a little bit of a pushback, I think, on some projects, some of the lower priority projects. A lot of things going towards the residential side are a little bit being delayed because there's less spending on the consumer side. But a lot of the customers we're working with are doing extremely well, having some of their best quarters ever in the Ethernet market. And so they're shifting.
So those would be typical service providers that are targeting the enterprise and small business?
Mostly enterprise, large and medium. These guys are looking at their cost structure, and they're looking at their T1 lines and their private lines, and they're saying, if Ethernet can be proven to me that it's actually as reliable as my existing options, at a cost per bit, you're talking about at least half the cost to go with Ethernet. So they want to migrate their IT infrastructure over, and when they find that Ethernet is truly carrier class and ready, they're willing to move all of these and all their services at the same time. So the companies that are addressing these areas, companies like Optum, Lightpath, RCN Metro, companies we've talked to on our panel here at CompTel, are having some of their best quarters ever. They're raising new financing, they're taking on market share from the larger incumbents, and it's all because they're fastest to the market with an Ethernet offering that can compete in this market.
I've also heard that companies seem to be more ready to switch to other carriers to save money in this particular environment.
Yeah, I think that's where the hosted and managed services come in that we talked about. This kind of bundling is important. If you just provide an Ethernet line, it's very easy just to switch the pipe. And
sure.
But if you can also bring on top of that remote storage and backup services and voice over IP,
sure.
You have a very strong chance of retaining your
sure.
customers.
So it's the equivalent of, I guess, with the consumer having a triple play, and studies have shown that triple play customers are less likely to move. They've got their voicemails coming to their email. They've got the video side. They've got the broadband. It's just such a hassle. They say, oh, I may as well just keep it and not worry about switching, right?
Well, we've all felt that, right, where we didn't want to switch our bill because it was too complicated to find 3 other guys to do the same
There's
thing.
a pain threshold, right? At a certain point, you get to so much pain to save X number of dollars that it just doesn't make any sense. And that's the margin that carrier, if they can figure out that exact number where they can keep most of their customers, they're in good shape, right?
I think that's really the key, right? And if you're actually a provider that's able to provide all of those services over the same pipe, then you can manage the quality of service of each one because you control them all. So you can guarantee that the voice over IP is going to work even though you're running remote backup at the same time. Whereas if you got those from 2 or 3 providers, as soon as the remote backup started, you might end up seeing your voice over IP quality going down because they're fighting and they're contending for the same pipe. So a service provider who can deliver the whole stack of these applications, not only is it a chance to gain more revenue, but they can also control quality of service, the customer experience far better across all of the services they offer.
Thanks, Scott. We've been talking to Scott Sumner, who is the VP of Marketing of Accedian Networks. Scott, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks a lot, Rich.